What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some great news and discussion, but before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now with that out of the way, let's go in and jump right into it, and we're starting off with Xenoblade Chronicles X, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. If you have not checked out my most recent content on Xenoblade, or if you're someone new, I'm a huge Xenoblade fan. I've got a lot of different theories and videos and news on Monolith Soft, the company itself, in addition to what I think and what I've heard about the newest Xenoblade Chronicles game. So make sure you check out all of that. There will be a link in the description below. But for this video, we're going to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles X and how I think that this could be a lot more than what people think it could be or what they're expecting. And maybe that's the reason why that this game is taking a bit longer to come out than some would have thought. Now, in one of my most recent live streams, somebody did ask me about Xenoblade Chronicles X and what they're doing with it and if they're going to make a sequel, and it gave me a very good idea that I think where Xenoblade Chronicles X could be going with, because I am of the opinion, contrary to what other people believe, that there will be Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Nintendo Switch. And the reason why I think that is, one, the Nintendo Switch system itself, it's too popular, it makes too much money, and every single other Xenoblade game is on the system. Xenoblade Chronicles the original, we have the definitive edition. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, that's obviously on there. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torn of the Golden Country. There's one more game that we're missing, and that's Xenoblade Chronicles X. So there's that, the system's popular, it would easily make its money back. But also another reason why I think it's going to come is because Xenoblade has such a higher profile now at this point than it did back when the original Xenoblade came out, back when Xenoblade Chronicles X came out, even back when 2 came out. Xenoblade is far more popular, far more marketable, and better now at this point than it was then. So there's also room for Nintendo to exploit that with one of the most unique, and some people feel is the best Xenoblade game. Heck, some people even feel it's the best open world ever in an RPG with Xenoblade Chronicles X. And with the Nintendo Switch, you can exploit that when it comes to new gamers and also old customers as well. Pretty much everybody who has a Wii U would probably buy the game again if they can play it on the Nintendo Switch. And of course, you get a bunch of new people as well, very similar to how Nintendo did with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. The Definitive Edition on the Nintendo Switch outsold the original and also outsold the Nintendo 3DS port of the game. So it's very possible that if Nintendo did do Xenoblade Chronicles X, that it easily outsells the Wii U version, obviously because of the install base, but does far better and even bring in a lot more new people considering the style of the game. And you also have to look at it like this. I feel that it's very possible in terms of what this game is and what we're expecting with it. Many are feeling that it could just be a straight port of the game. You take the game that's on the Wii U, you port it over, you put it on the Nintendo Switch, you touch up a few different things, and that's that. But what if it's far more than what we're expecting? What if it's more in depth than what we're expecting? Maybe they actually add a side story in, very similar to what they did with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, where you have the future connected DLC, which wraps up a few things after the end of Xenoblade Chronicles. And I think that that would be much appreciated, way more now at this point than with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. And here's the reason why. Xenoblade Chronicles X ends on a cliffhanger that needs to be resolved. Many people felt that, hey, they can do Xenoblade Chronicles X2, or they can do Xenoblade Chronicles 3, or they can maybe do Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and it says what happens in X2. But there's no need for that. If you bring out a Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition and you add in a future connected DLC type of connecting story, or even a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torn of the Golden Country, which is bigger than future connected, but you do somewhere in between that, or maybe you just do the size of future connected and you wrap up the story with Xenoblade Chronicles X and you just say, hey, this is part of the port of Xenoblade Chronicles X or the remaster of the game, whatever you want to define it as. I think that would be a very fitting way to say, okay, this is good. We can take care of the X people. We don't have to worry about making an actual new sequel to X because we can pursue what more people would probably buy, which is more of the Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, Torn of the Golden Country style, and kind of go from there. I mean, yes, they could go back to the mechs and getting inside of them and doing all of that, but I'm just not sure based off of what we know right now at this point with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that they're going to go down that avenue, considering how much Xenoblade Chronicles 2 sold, how much Definitive Edition sold. Yes, Xenoblade Chronicles X is amazing, but I just feel that they might do a future connected type of thing, but with Xenoblade Chronicles X. That is a very big possibility, and that might be the reason why when they talked about it before, they said, hey, it takes money, it takes a lot of time, it's not something that can be easily done. So I think they were kind of foreshadowing like, hey, it's going to come, but it's going to take a bit longer. It's not going to be like what they did before. Heck, even Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition took a good amount of time to make, so I would guess that X would take a bit longer if they were working on it. Now, to talk about Monolith Soft real quick before we get into a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and some of the other topics, people are confused about what Monolith Soft is. They feel that they're only like one studio and that's all they do, and they help out with Nintendo and they don't really have much else. That's not the case. Monolith Soft is one owned by Nintendo. They were a separate studio. They first broke off from Square Enix and they made their own studio. Then they worked with various different Japanese developers, publishers, and everything. And then Nintendo purchased them more than a decade ago or so now. And what they've done since purchasing them, that they've expanded. They've expanded to multiple different locations. They've helped out with Nintendo's other games that they had, Animal Crossing, Legend of Zelda, but they still have main teams that work on games. It's not just all helping out with Nintendo and they're not allowed to do anything else. They have the main Takahashi team that actually is working on a new game, which many believe is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and many also believe, the rumor has it, that it was supposed to be revealed this year, but of course some concerns with what happened with the development during the COVID time period and everything pushed it to a next year announcement. But if it does get announced next year, it's probably releasing next year, as well as we go on the 4th anniversary of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 releasing on the Nintendo Switch today. So that's also another interesting thing here. But I feel that, yes, I think we're going to see Xenoblade Chronicles 3 next year. I think it's going to be very impressive based on some of the rumors that we've heard so far, that this is going to be the best looking, or one of the best looking, Nintendo Switch RPGs hands down, and I would have to believe them when it comes to that. I think that Monolith Soft has really pushed whatever tech that they're on, and to be honest, if you look at Xenoblade Chronicles 2, that game can look absolutely beautiful at times on the Nintendo Switch, but you can see that the development budget wasn't quite there, the amount with the team size wasn't quite there compared to what they did with Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, which was legitimately the pinnacle of graphics for the Wii U when it comes to a JRPG, and when it comes to lots of other games. There was no other game that looked anywhere near as good as a huge RPG on the Wii U than Xenoblade Chronicles X. I think that that style, that flavor in terms of the effort and passion that was put into that is going to be put into Xenoblade Chronicles 3 with the Takahashi Team 1. So we could see a spectacle when it comes to how it looks. Now, I'm not saying it's going to look as good as Final Fantasy VII Remake or anything like that. I'm just talking about in relation to the Nintendo Switch and what we have. So the best looking JRPGs are like Dragon Quest XI, Shin Megami Tensei 5, we have The Witcher. There's a number of games that look pretty good on the system. I think that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a chance to surpass all of those with a brand new gameplay style that is Xeno, but also completely new and unique to what they're doing with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, as they kind of change and turn a new leaf when it comes to the popularity of Xenoblade. So I think that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is still coming. Like I said, check out my previous videos if you want to know more about what I think, the rumors so far and everything, because I am going off of some of the information that I've already talked about. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very exciting year for Xenoblade fans next year. And maybe we see some more rumors and hints later this year. We got the rest of this month, December, to kind of talk about things and go over. And then next year, we got Pokemon Legends and other RPGs to get into. So I think that things are going to start moving very fast on the Monolith Soft / Xenoblade front. So what do you guys think about what I have to say here when it comes down to it? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, we've got a brand new Triangle Strategy character and story trailer #1. Here we go. Here starts the advertising for this game. One of my most anticipated games of 2022, coming out this March for the Nintendo Switch, Triangle Strategy. So publisher Square Enix and developer ArtDink have released the first in a series of character and story trailers for strategy RPG Triangle Strategy. The first introduces Roland Glenbrook, the younger prince of Glenbrook. Now remember guys, Triangle Strategy is due out for the Nintendo Switch on March 4th, 2022 worldwide, and I'm so happy that Square Enix decided to put up this new trailer. It shows off the updated graphics, it shows off the great voice acting, it shows off the stage and the plot, and it shows off exactly the tone and style that you need to get more people interested in this style of game. Exactly kind of what they didn't do when it comes to the marketing of Neo 20 on the Switch, PlayStation 4, and PC. So it's good to see that they're advertising this one more, but I think that they also think that this is going to be more popular because of the HD 2D, because it is a follow-up in that style, right? We have Octopath Traveler, we have that type of game, so I think that they know that this is already going to be more popular just based off of early metrics when it comes to views and everything. And yes, Triangle Strategy looks absolutely amazing. The demo was great. They released a video saying that, hey, we're going to update this, we're doing this and that to upgrade the experience for you guys. So I am all in on Triangle Strategy. I think that this has the chance to be the best HD 2D game out of the ones that we do know about. We have a Dragon Quest III remake that's coming out, we have Octopath Traveler, and we have this game as well. And I think that Triangle Strategy legitimately does have a chance to be the best out of the three, considering the depth and the variety that you have in Triangle Strategy in terms of what you can do just from the demo, having the different type of abilities, having the recruiting that you can do, and the story itself. They borrow some of the great aspects from what we saw with Fire Emblem Three Houses without all of the extra stuff that kind of makes that game maybe a little bit tedious to play at times. So I love that about Triangle Strategy, and like I said, they even made it better when it comes to the graphics and when it comes to the gameplay and when it comes to the playability of the title with the updates based on our own feedback. And I love that about these style of games. They always do that with like Bravely Default, these smaller JRPGs that Square Enix does. They do that with the demos that they have. They get good feedback and they get what the players want in them. So I've always been loving what they do when it comes to Square Enix and the smaller AA type of RPGs that they do put out, because while they're not big on the graphical side of things when it comes to overall graphic power, they're always great with art style, they're always great with gameplay, and they play better, and they have so much more depth than a lot of the bigger RPGs out there. And this game, Triangle Strategy, looks to have the most of it when it comes to a strategy RPG that we've seen from Square Enix in a very long time. So I'm looking forward to this one. But what do you guys think about this new Triangle Strategy character and story trailer introducing my man Roland Glenbrook? And of course, look out for more. We'll be covering each one of them. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, we have the Metroid Dread developer Mercury Steam announcing a big partnership with 505 Games to develop a brand new co-published and co-developed third-person action RPGs for consoles and PCs. Whoa, this is pretty cool. Just because Metroid Dread is awesome, so obviously people are going to know what Mercury Steam is up to, what they want to do, and we'll talk about what they have with Metroid as well, because there were some questions about that, what they're going to do with the next Metroid 2D game. So, codename Project Iron. The new game is a third-person action RPG set in a dark fantasy world and will be playable across consoles and PC worldwide. The intellectual property will be co-owned by 505 Games parent company Digital Bros and Mercury Steam. Quote, "We are thrilled to work with the team at Mercury Steam, a proven studio that over the years has created numerous phenomenal IPs, including the recent hit release Metroid Dread in partnership with Nintendo," said Digital Bros. Group co-CEOs Rafi and Rami Galante in a press release. With Mercury Steam's creative vision and talent and 505 Games' extensive experience, gamers can expect a high-quality, captivating, and engaging video game. Further details were not announced, but the reason why I'm talking about here is because it's Mercury Steam. And as someone who's been playing Mercury Steams for quite some time, for over a decade now, if you go back to what I played with Castlevania Lords of Shadow, that game, the second game wasn't so good, but the first game was awesome. I played the game from the Nintendo DS, the Castlevania game on there. Metroid Samus Returns was fantastic. Now Metroid Dread came out recently. That is really good. I've been a fan of Mercury Steam for a long time. They have great technical expertise. They make fantastic games. Had a little bit of a controversy going on with the credits and stuff like that, so hopefully they can get that situated and fixed up. But overall, they're still going here, and I think that this could be, or this could end up being, a great game. Now, I'm not too excited right now at this point because we don't have anything. There was no trailer, there was no footage, there was no anything. But knowing that Mercury Mercury Steam is behind the helm along with 505 Games, which does have a solid track record with publishing and developing as well various different games out there. I think that this could be a great game. Obviously, it's going to be on consoles and PCs, so we'll see what they end up working out on with that. I think that they're still not sure what they're going to support overall, so therefore you just don't announce anything. Just say, hey, consoles and PCs. So that makes sense as well. For those that are wondering if it's going to be on Switch, I would think it would be, just because Mercury Steam, the fans and everything, but you never know. It depends on what they're going to pay for when it comes to 505 Games, but we know Mercury Steam knows how to develop on Switch, so if they were able to get a Switch version, obviously that would be fantastic if they did that. Now, another thing that I also want to note with this as well is that Mercury Steam, with what's going on with Metroid Dread, right? People are thinking, oh, well, now they're not going to develop the next Metroid game. No, that's not the case. It's just that right now, Metroid Dread is still doing well. It's going to sell well for the type of game that it is. People are still buying it. It just came out. Obviously, they finished it a while ago. So you do have some time in between when Metroid Dread was finished and also when the next Metroid game is going to come. You have some time in between, and Mercury Steam is not owned by Nintendo or anything. They need to fill in, contracts. They need to work on things in between projects or in between their bigger end things. So this is something like a company like Mercury Steam, which is independent, would do. They're going to take on other games. They're going to do other things. So there's no panic or anything when it comes to the next Metroid. I think in the next maybe 3 to 4 years, yeah, we'll start hearing about the next Metroid Dread 2 or Metroid whatever from Mercury Steam when it comes to 2D. But when it comes down to it, we have Metroid Prime 4. That is the next thing. So there isn't going to be another Metroid game when it comes to 2D Metroid before Metroid Prime 4 is announced back again, is released and everything. Nintendo's going to want to get Metroid Prime 4 out of the way and everything from there. And then this will probably roll into the next Nintendo systems, where when we see the next 2D Metroid experience, I think it's going to be at least in the next 3 to 4 years that we see that. I don't see them just sitting there and developing a bunch of 2D Metroid games back to back to back to back. Let Dread play out, let it sell, let it do well, and then of course later we will see another one. Maybe they do it where it's a cross-gen type of game or something like that. But yeah, I have no problem with this here, and I think that Mercury Steam, they can make great games. Sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss. For the most part, I've liked what they've done. So I'm looking forward to this new game, and whenever we actually get some more details though on it. So what are your thoughts when it comes to everything that we discussed here? From Mercury Steam's new game, Triangle Strategy, and of course, Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Nintendo Switch. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.